welcome to a special edition of Taking Over. Or is it NXT? Or is it a War Report? It's all those things and more. Welcome to Astrid's 2-year media anniversary, sort of. Astrid got a choice of which one to go ahead and take, whether it would be this week or next week, and she chose this week. So we're heading into her actual 2-year streaming anniversary a little bit early. For those that don't know, 2 years ago, me and this lovely lady got put together by a random man with a beard to go ahead and join him in covering NXT on a weekly basis on a show called The War Report over at our previous home of Love Wrestling CA. We did that for a while. He decided to cover AEW. He decided to give us the lovely Cody Defoe. And the three of us went ahead and made up the crew that was then known as NXT, TEA. And we spilled the tea on a weekly basis about all things NXT. And then things happened, and I left Love Wrestling, and then Astrid left Love Wrestling, and then Parrish left Love Wrestling, and Bobby left Love Wrestling, and Carl left Love Wrestling, and
there's a domino effect.
and Cody left Love Wrestling, and we formed our local establishment where you can see us here every week. And they're in the beginning stages before our local establishment came around. Chris Parrish took up the mantle of going ahead and talking about NXT on a weekly basis with my tag team partner and started taking over. And they went ahead on thechrisparish.com on his Twitter. I'm sorry, not on his Twitter, on his Twitch at The Chris Parrish. They went ahead and started doing Taking Over. And then about 9 episodes in, I believe it was, I came in to go ahead and do and it's great because you'll see it later on this month, I assume. There is a clip where I say that I'm here for one night only. And I never left.
Woohoo! You're here momentarily, but every week.
I was gonna say then next week I was here one more week for a momentary episode, and the next thing you know, I am the permanent co-host alongside my tag team partner Astrid Pizarro. So we got a little bit of a split screen here. We've got the wonderful colorized stuff of NXT, where we talked about NXT 2.0 during that rebrand. Astrid's got the Taking Over side, and if you look up in the corner, if you look really carefully, there's a little purple teacup to represent the War Report. But we want to go ahead and thank everybody who's in here. We've got Bassers99 coming in saying HBK Booker of the Year, Dom Baby. We'll get to Dominic because that's what everybody want to talk to. We got Mark joining us once again. Thank you, Mark. I'm awake. By God, what an amazing show. That was a pretty good episode of NXT. We'll get to the rest of it later. Roman better be ready. Dom is coming. We got Sean Cena jumping in saying hello. And, of course, a speedy recovery of both Elton Prince and Bayley. Bayley's injury is thankfully not nearly as bad as many people believed. It sounds like she'll be back in the ring sooner rather than later. Elton Prince, on the other hand, it'll take a little bit more time for him. We've got the voice, Joshua Joseph. Me and Astrid did a podcast with Joshua Joseph that you can catch right now. We'll go ahead and give you that link in just a little bit. But go him saying, Dom for the win. Yes, Dom for the win. Yep. We've got Chris Best jumping in. Good evening, everybody. Chris Best is, by the way, for all those who don't know, he is the co-host on the Raw Watch Long. He is the co-host of our lead-in with Turnbuckle Talk. So after we get done, go ahead and jump back on the Our Local Establishment pages and go ahead and check out Turnbuckle Talk as they talk When Fans Attack. A great show talking mostly about, at least one of the topics being, Don Callis being attacked after Triple Mania. We got our friend Daphne from In the Hot Seat podcast. Hello, Daphne. I've missed so much last I was here, but Ed's here. Yes, since the last time anybody saw me, my hair is gone.
It disappears every once in a while.
Everybody left. I left, and it was like a slow domino effect that everybody else left. We did trade the tea for alcohol. NXT at some point needed a little bit more hard stuff than just a little bit of tea. Feeling so relieved from my rant. Well, I can't wait to check that out. As Chris knows, I always watch Turnbuckle Talk on the VOD because I'm watching NXT when it happens and I don't have the time to be able to devote to it. So I'm excited to see what Chris ranted about, and I'm not the only one in our local
He's
establishment.
taking your gimmick. He's gimmick infringement.
It's fine. Other people can rant too. Speaking of everybody talking about it, let's go ahead and start at the end, where we normally start at the beginning. Dominic Mysterio defeats Wes Lee to become the new North American champion 2 weeks out from the Great American Bash. Wow. Talk about a curveball I didn't see coming.
Definitely not.
Ashley, go ahead and give us your thoughts on the main event.
It's like, I don't mind Dom winning. It's just the part of, like, you're messing up, Ali versus West. That was supposed to happen. Like, that's what's pissing me off. It's like, why? Why now? Like you said, like 2 weeks before the show. I'm like, why did it have to happen? I knew that Judgment Day was going to be involved. It's their MO, so you expect that already. But, I kind of hope that Trick Miller would even the odds in there somewhere. And then West will retain. And then perhaps maybe a 6-man sack next week, something like that. But yeah, having Dominic win a North American Championship in 2023 was not on my bingo card. But I will have to give credit's due. Doc, who we had here not too long ago for our predictions, tweeted something that was super interesting because he said Solo couldn't keep the North American Championship because he was on the main roster. How come Dom can? That's an interesting point.
We don't know yet. It took a week for them to figure out whether or not he was going to keep it as well. I think this is where we're headed, and I think he's going to keep it for one sole reason. Well, two sole reasons. One, they're trying to boost the numbers for NXT to get a better TV deal with USA or whomever when the NXT TV contract runs out. Fine. Not a big deal. You're going to put more main roster stars on my NXT. I'm not going to complain. Now, granted, I'd rather my main roster stars be Seth Rollins and Judgment Day and not Dana Brooke, but sometimes you got to trade one for the other. But I think this is where we're headed. I think we're headed to a triple threat match at the Great American Bash. I think Dominic Mysterio is a transitional champion to give him some credibility, to give his character a little bit of life for the next week or two, to potentially have a moment where, say, Dominic Mysterio doesn't lose this title at the Great American Bash in what I expect to be a triple threat match. Imagine if they pulled the trigger and put the title on Finn, and everybody in Judgment Day has something. There's an interesting angle with this where everybody in Judgment Day could be a champion. Because I consider the Money in the Briefcase a championship. I mean, it's basically, it's a guaranteed championship if you do it right. If you're not Baron Corbin and you're not John Cena and you're not Braun Strowman or Damian Sandow, it's a guaranteed championship.
Yeah.
We have Barry Monkey jumping in. Dominic showing his greatness, blossoming like a flower. Now free of his repressive upbringing. What a beautiful story. I almost cried. Damn it.
Barry, we missed you over here.
We did miss Barry. No, this is great. Like, I love the fact that Dominic Mysterio, who I will continue to say every time I talk about him, has the most punchable face in all of professional wrestling. The most punchable face. It's all I have to do is see his stupid face on my TV screen and I want to punch him. But he has come leaps and bounds from the little boy shaking a ladder in 2005. He has come leaps and bounds from the kid who showed up, helping his dad against Brock Lesnar a few years ago. He's earned these opportunities. Has he been put in a spot with people who make it so that he doesn't look bad? Absolutely. It's not like he's fighting the Yabos on the bottom of the card. I agree. But you know what? Not everybody has to fight the Yabos. You can sometimes just fight the top of the card and do really well at it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about Wes Lee here. Let's for all the things that we can say. Wes Lee was one of the greatest North American champions we've ever had. This man defended it in open challenges multiple times. He defended it in triple threat matches. He defended it in fatal 4-ways. He defended it in a fatal 5-way. I think he did a fatal 6-way at one point too when he won the championship. If I remember correctly, in a ladder match, it was a 6-way. Like, this man was the king of pulling out the stops when everybody thought he was done.
Mm-hmm.
He has shown that he's not just a tag team guy.
Yeah.
And to put in perspective, his former tag team partner is back to being a tag team guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've often said that he's not the most impressive of the three. I've come to change my mind. As much as I admire Trey Miguel and all the work he's done, I think Desmond Xavier, Wes Lee, is the most talented of the Rascals. Astrid, you watch the Rascals more than anybody, on at least as far as more than I have. Tell me, what are your thoughts on the three Rascals and who's the most dominant of the three?
I like how you made me think back of when the MSK got broken up, and I kept thinking, who are they gonna pair Wes Lee with? Because I feel like being a tag team guy, they're gonna find somebody like to pair him up with and continue him being a tag team division. I never thought that we'll keep him as a singles competitor. And do you think of not only that, but the promos that he delivered is like, this came out of nowhere for me. I had to find like a new purpose and a new way for my career. And at first, I was doubting him because I was wondering how he was gonna go from being a tag team to being solo, and just getting used to that part of it. And I think him and Melo are definitely like two of the best North American champions we've had in recent times. And you think of like that championship is exactly what he needed to prove to us that he can do it by himself and how great he is by himself. Like, he doesn't need anybody to be beside him. So just incredible to think of like how I went from being an MSK and doubting how he would be by himself and thinking he was not going to last too long by himself, to now him being here tonight in this match. And like you said, he's had so many multi-man matches, and you're thinking, he has 5, 4, 3 opponents. He's definitely not going to keep that title. Every single time you keep doubting him, thinking there's so many guys, there's always going to be a chance that somebody's going to win that title. And he always retained it. And it's incredible to think, like, not only that, but the open challenges as well. I feel like those two aspects of his reign definitely made it remarkable, made it unique, and made it, so different for the North American Championship. This definitely came as a surprise to me tonight. I don't want to say I'm unhappy because I like Dom having a championship, but at the same time, it's just like, it's kind of bittersweet thinking like, the reign had to end this one when it was such a great reign. And I don't know if he's the longest reigning North American champion at this time, or close to. So I didn't want that to end. I feel like it was such a great story. I didn't want it to end just like this. It happened tonight. But like you said, at the same time, it makes people talk, because I feel like all we're going to see tonight on social media is going to be people talking about Dominic having a championship. And that's great for WWE, and it's great, for the marketing aspect and everybody looking up in social media. That's all they're going to see tonight. So I understand from that point of view as well. So it's bittersweet to see it end, though.
Yeah, we have Sean Cena jumping in saying it's possible Damien could cash in a Mello. It's absolutely possible. We'll talk about that more when we talk about the Ilya Dragunov promo. He's come from being the kid who shows no emotion to the kid we all want to punch. I agree. Like, Dominic Mysterio, the heel turn was so good for him because he's such a little shit. And mind you, pairing him with Rhea Ripley has been gold for him, because everybody loves her, and he gets that moment to really be just with somebody else who knows what they're doing. He's never alone. He's never floating on his own. He's always got someone around, not so much to win matches, but like just to be there and to give him, information and to go back and forth with him. It's such a wonderful thing for him to have these people, especially now, so young in his career, where he can have the sky's the limit, to the point where you can literally say something. And yeah, it's a little bit crazy, it's a little bit hyperbole, but Roman better be ready because Dom is coming. Yeah, at this point, he's got enough heat that's a legitimate thing that you can think about. It's not going to happen, but you can fantasy book it and have some fun with it. In the hot seat, both Trey and Wes are pretty. I agree. I think the world of Trey Miguel. I think he should have been Impact World Champion by now. If he has been and I missed it, oops. If he hasn't, then I think it's a damn shame, because I think him and Chris Bay both could have carried that company before we got to this moment that we're in now with Josh Alexander and things like that. And I'd love to see them get back up there because I think both of them could be. We got Barry saying Wes has been great on NXT, but I have my doubts he could repeat on the main. I agree. I don't necessarily know if he'd repeated on the main roster. But again, I think it depends on who's booking. Mm-hmm. Shawn Michaels and Triple H have similar ideas when booking what they want to do. But I think his personality and his character could get over with the main roster crowd. I think people would like him. It may take him a long time to get there. It may take him 4, 5, 6 months. But you know what? Talking about guys who took 4, 5, 6 months to get there. LA Knight's over now. He sure as hell wasn't the first time he showed up on Raw. So, I mean, there's a chance. Him going to prison really changed his life. I mean, prison helped Dom for the positive, I guess. It's really great. Into the voice, Joshua Joseph. Being on NXT will allow his creative side surface in my. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be on there much. Like I said, I think this is a short-term thing. I think he's a transitional champion. I think it's something to pop a number. Everybody's going to be watching next week now to see what's going to happen with Dom. Raw is going to do a big number because he's going to be on Raw. They're going to go ahead and do a big thing on NXT, a decent number on NXT, maybe 700,000. I think that there's going to be some stuff going on. Eddie got booed his first night. Yeah, Eddie Guerrero did not have the greatest first night debut. The Radical sitting in the crowd didn't go over well with that crowd at that time. I really wanted him. We'll talk a little bit about the Tony D segment because I did think there was a missed opportunity there a little bit. But now that we caught up with the comments, we're going to go ahead and jump to the beginning of the show. Where we have Trick Mello in the ring talking about last week, and Trick's doing his typical thing of pumping up Carmelo Hayes and talking about how great he is. And Melo's like, I'm just not feeling it tonight. And you know what Melo needed? Melo needed rogue energy tonight. Melo needed a little bit of rogue energy. And if you need rogue energy, you can scan that QR code that Astrid was pointing to. Or you can go to rogueenergy.com and use the promo code OLEPods to get 10% off your order. Rogue Energy is a great sponsor for Ol'Ed. They have some great more natural energy drinks than the Monsters and the Red Bulls that some of our talent drink on a weekly basis on this TV show.
What?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Show off your Red Bull.
I just learned about that.
Show your Red Bull can over there. I know you got it.
Yeah.
Sure. But you can go ahead and get one of the wonderful flavors of Rogue Energy. I know Chris Best just got his order a couple of weeks ago, and he's been loving it. I know Mel loves that blood orange. Chris Parrish loves to try all kinds of different flavors. And for me, we all know what I like. I like the watermelon. So go ahead and go to rogueenergy.com or scan that QR code right below Astrid and get your Rogue Energy. But no, Melo was a bit low energy tonight. He's like, look, last week happened and, it bothered me and I lost. I missed. Melo missed. And Trick's like, no, you didn't miss. He's like, yeah, I did. He's like, we had this under control. Me and you, we got this. And then Ilya came out and got my business. Well, of course, this brings out Ilya Dragunov because he's not going to stand there and listen to this. And it goes to a fun back and forth. This promo segment was great without being groundbreaking. They didn't say a lot of incredibly intense things, but the back and forth meant something. There seemed to be reminiscent of Braun versus Melo going into Stand and Deliver. We talked about how great that build was because it was like this respectful, irritation with each other.
Yeah.
We get more of that here. Ilya Dragunov constantly going in about how intense he is, about how much energy he gives, talking about how he gives 100% and how he can feel it and how he feels everything and he leaves everything and the crowd feels it. And Melo goes, you don't think I feel it? You don't think I feel the pressure of being the champion? You don't think I feel the pressure every day to represent this brand and make sure everybody's talking about me? He's like, I feel that, but I shoulder that responsibility because that's what being a champion is all about. And they go back and forth, and Melo continues to say, but look, you've earned this. You're tough as nails. You're probably the toughest competitor I've ever had to face. I saw what you did last week to Braun Breaker. He's like, you're going to be my toughest test. But don't forget, I'm Melo, and I don't miss. Just, Carmelo Hayes also calls himself Mr. Premium Live Event, Mr. PLE. And he says that he hits different. Nice shout out for WWE 2K23, where you can get the Rebel with Wyatt pack coming out tomorrow. They're not paying me for it. I'm just hoping that someday they see this. Hopefully next year they give me a free copy and they fly me and Parrish out to try it out next year at the Royal Rumble. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Ashley, what did you think of this segment?
Yeah, I love the back and forth they had it between these two. It just makes me laugh, like what you said it too, because at first he starts with like, I missed last week, but then at the end he tells Dragunov, Melo, don't miss. I just wanted to say, but you did though. Last week, did you not say that at the beginning? But no, I love the back and forth between these two. It just made me more excited for the match. So I feel like I know because it took a little bit of time to get that match. I feel like we didn't have a lot of build up towards it. I feel like tonight was a lot of progress to it, which I liked. But yeah, overall I enjoyed it. It gave me a little bit of that spark that I wanted towards the matches. I feel like at first I was like, do I want to see this? It just like I was like half and half about it. But at least now with this promotion, it really did help me, and kind of gave me a little bit more interest towards the match.
Yeah, we have the voice also saying it was Dean, it was Chris, it was Perry Saturn, it was Eddie Guerrero, the Radicals that showed up that first night from WCW. Melo won't be champion. Take those awful words back, Mark. Carmelo Hayes will never. He will be like Mandy Rose, a forever champion. The only people who could take the title off Mandy Rose were the people backstage who decided to fire her. Also, happy birthday, Mandy. Throw that out there. You thought I was going to forget Mandy Rose's birthday. Are you kidding me? Chris has been playing the game pretty religiously. I have talked to you about that. This promo went a bit too long for me. Writers need telling. Sometimes less is more. I would agree. This promo was a bit long. The only reason I'll say that it didn't matter this week is because this is really going to be the only real promotion we get for this match. Because next week we're going to get the tag match, and then the following Sunday we're going to get the match. So I think it needed a bit of a longer promo because it's a short build to a match that we're probably going to see again. But I don't necessarily feel like the promo didn't drag, but there was a lot of talk. But at least these two guys could handle it. It wasn't like Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey last night, where God forbid they were both on the microphone, and that wasn't pretty.
And it was not a Braun Breaker promo either.
No, it wasn't a Braun Breaker promo. Like, these guys are intense and they're staring at each other and they're taking these little jabs, but they're also being really respectful. Like, you knew looking at the two of these guys, they weren't going to throw punches tonight. No, neither one of them were going to hit each other. It was all going to be verbal jabs back and forth. And Trick stayed out of it. As soon as Ilya gets out there, Trick instantly backs off and Melo gets to handle his own stuff. I really enjoyed it, but I can see where Barry's talking about how the promo went a bit too long. It did.
Yeah.
But when you only got 2 weeks to sell your main event, sometimes you gotta give it a little bit.
You needed that boost.
You gotta give it 5 more minutes than it really needs, because you just need to make sure that people are going to be there. You know what? They gotta sell tickets, because unfortunately, the one thing NXT doesn't always do great with is traveling in crowds. When they travel without the main roster, they sometimes have a bit of issue getting crowds. I was there in Lowell. We were loud. We were great. It's a small building, and it wasn't sold out. The building they're going to this week, I can almost guarantee you it's already not already sold out. If this were a main roster pay-per-view, it would be pretty close to a sellout. It's a bit of a shame, but NXT hasn't toured for a while, so they've got to pick their spots. They will get there. It'll just take a bit of time. We then go backstage where we get Ali coming in and try to talk Wes Lee out of defending his North American Championship, to which I said, "This is silly. This won't matter. Wes Lee's going to win this and retain his title." Don't I feel like a dumbass now? Um, no, it was a standard backstage promo where Wes Lee was trying to say, the contract for us is barely dry, and you're going to go out there and defend this title 2 weeks before our match. What are you, crazy? What if Dom Dom beat you? And Wes like, ha, that's funny. Dom Dom ain't gonna beat me. I should have known when I saw this segment, but I've seen this segment 1,000 times when they don't lose, so I'm like, it's fine. We then get Los Lotharios versus Dragon Lee and Nathan Frazer. But first, we get Tony D getting out of prison. He goes ahead and gets his stuff. He walks out. Stax picks him up in some generic car. I really wish it would have been something better. You're picking up the Dawn. You gotta do it with a little bit of style, a little bit of panache. You don't just pick him up in a standard car. This is the Dawn. Barry says NXT needs to go to Canada. They'll watch anything. Hell, they pay to watch Impact. I mean, he's not wrong. We have many Canadian friends here in the chat that I'm sure will take a slight offense to the fact that they'll watch anything. But then again, the two national sports in Canada are ice hockey and curling. And as much as I love curling, it takes somebody with an awful lot of alcohol or drive to watch curling, because throwing stones and scrubbing the ice with a broom, it isn't as exciting as people think. I love it, though. I mean, I can't get enough of curling. If you haven't watched it, you really need to try. It's fantastic. What are the odds Dominic and Tony went to this? So we'll talk about this more when we get there, because I think that there is some fun stuff to talk about there. Los Lotharios versus Dragon Lee and Nathan Frazer. I don't have a ton of notes for this because I watched this match really closely and I enjoyed it. Lots of back and forth. Mm-hmm. There was really good stuff coming out of the picture-in-picture break. Shocker, when you give really talented wrestlers 10, 15 minutes to go out there and wrestle, hey, they do a really good wrestle, guys. It's almost like they're professionals.
Who knew?
It was so great to see Los Lotharios back out there doing what they do best. They're such an underrated tag team. The cousins that they are. People forget that they are actually family. They're actual cousins. Mm-hmm. Yep. I love these two. I was shocked when they lost, to be perfectly honest with you, because I thought they were going to win. I thought it'd be a great way to build some tension between Dragon Lee and Nathan Frazer for another cup match, but apparently we're going to do drama and tension the other way, because after the loss, Los Lotharios are arguing on the outside, and Humberto Carrillo pushes down Angel Garza and says, "You're the reason why we lost." And he walked away through the crowd. Astrid, your thoughts on this wonderful tag team match?
Yeah, this is one of those that I was mostly concentrated on watching it rather than taking notes. But there were so many falls in this match. Holy moly, that's one thing I was like, dang, there couldn't be any more. But I love the match in itself. Just like you said, I was thinking along the lines of like they're probably going to build up tension between Nathan and Dragon Lee somewhere here. And I feel like after Los Lotharios had that interaction with Gallus, then maybe they were probably going to be the next ones for a title match. So maybe they were going to get this this win to get that momentum there. So that was my mindset going into this. I didn't think they were going to lose. And then after, I'm like, you just came back. Why would you break them up like this after, I feel like they're building back up in NXT. Oh my God, I didn't have that on my card for tonight. I don't like a prediction card for tonight. But the match in itself was great. I love the back and forth between both of the teams here. And I do wonder what is it going to lead to with Humberto, like going to Angels, like, we're cousins. We should be able to like kind of sort this out as we're family rather than just leave the way he did. So I do want to know how next week they're going to continue the story, though.
Yeah. And Chris Best brings up, we had another team breaks up. We had a team break up, and we had a non-team breakup tonight on the show, but I feel like the tag team division is still pretty thick. Like, it's not like we didn't need Los Lotharios in the tag division as a tag team. I would have rather kept them as a tag team. I wouldn't have made the switch, but we have the schism for now, or the dyad, as you want to call them, as the tag team. We have Lucien Price and Bronco Nima. We have Gallus. We have the D'Angelo family. Malik Blade and Idris Enofe, Hank and Tank, JBBJ. We've got 8+ teams in this tag team division. I'm sure I'm forgetting one or two other teams. But we've got a decent amount of teams in there. We've got some faces. We got some heels. We don't necessarily need Los Lotharios as a tag team in this division. I would have kept them as one, but I'm fine breaking them up because at least you've got other teams to go to. You're not breaking them up with, no offense to the Impact Women's Division, but that Impact Knockouts tag team division, they only have 2 teams right now that I can think of. They just built one who just won the Impact Women's Tag Team Championships from the other team that they just built and then destroyed the other team to bring the other team back together. So there's 3 teams in the Impact Women's Knockouts division?
No.
Well, because there's the Death Dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this version of the Death Dolls.
Yeah.
What, version 4 of the Death Dolls?
At this point?
Well, Rosemary and Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
Rosemary and Taya. Taya and Havoc. Or Taya and Jessica at that point, it would have been. Jessica and Rosemary. Okay, so it's version 5 because now it's Rosemary and Courtney Rush. No, sorry. Courtney Rush and Jessica.
Yep.
I guess 4 if you count.
I was about to say, yeah. I was going to count Giselle and Savannah.
Thank you, Darn Amazing, for jumping in. Not a new layout, just a one-night only layout to celebrate Astrid's 2-year stream anniversary, where we're going to go ahead and, reminisce about the past and look forward to the future. Talking about reminiscing about the past and looking forward to the future, we got a Baron Corbin promo where he talks about evolving or dying. He talks about how he won't do the same things he's always done. And he's not going to be something he's not. He's not going to take on a shitty gimmick just to be something. And in the end, he says, love me or hate me. Save your fucking opinions. I'm doing this as me. And he stands in front of himself. 2 versions of Baron Corbin. I don't know if I want 2 Baron Corbins, but another, again, as Mark says, Baron Corbin's on fire right now. Another fire promo from Baron Corbin. Astrid, I mean, you love Baron Corbin as much as I do. Go ahead and talk about what you've thought about all 3 of these vignettes. We'll put them all together at this point.
I thought he was going to say adapt or perish, and then he said evolve or die, and I was going to say, why? It was right there. But no, I love the part where he says, I couldn't be satisfied where I was. It was easy, comfortable, safe. And then
Just for a moment.
Didn't think he was going to be face to face with himself. But yeah, I'm like, that's the thing. I wonder how that goes moving forward, because that's super interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see what we do and how we get where we go going forward. But it was great to see Baron Corbin talking about the past and going for the future. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about this because I have nothing nice to say about it. Gigi versus Kiana.
It was a match, and it happened. Yeah, this was one of those that I could have done without tonight, right? And you know me, usually I'm the kind of person that's saying, give me 2-3 women's matches in one night, but this is one I would have waited a little bit longer to do because it just nothing major happened. And I was gonna say the big quote unquote thing that happened will be Gigi. Well, Kiana went to grab her. the ref about it, and Kiana just uses it as an excuse to, do her finish and finish off in a way of Gigi. So it just nothing special to it. I don't know what's happening here, to be honest, at this point between these two, unfortunately.
Yeah, I love to talk positive about the women's division. You know that. I NXT has thrived on having a deep women's division where they've been able to tell multiple stories. And the only good thing about this entire series of matches between Kiana James and Gigi Dolin is the story they're telling outside of the ring. Because God, that story does not translate inside the ring. These two have no chemistry. Kiana left that bag right next to Gigi's head after hitting the finish, as opposed to moving it away. Like it,
Yeah.
it's a shame because Kiana's getting better week in and week out, but she has no chemistry with Gigi. And Gigi, since, as Mark says here, since JC left, her personality and believability has gone away. I agree. When Gigi and JC were part of Toxic Attraction, they were fantastic. They were having good matches. They didn't seem to have a bad match with pretty much anybody. And now, neither one of them can seem to have a good match with anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how a tag team can lose everything just by losing Mandy Rose. And again, happy birthday, Mandy. But this was crap. I'll be honest. It was 5 minutes. You could have given something else, like Tony D'Angelo and Dominic Mysterio. I'm all for women's division. I'm all for women's segments, but if you're gonna do them, you got to give me matches that are worthwhile because this ain't it, folks. I don't know about the ads in freezing. If you go ahead and close your Twitch and reopen it, sometimes that will get rid of the freezing ads. I know Astrid's having a bit of issues with her Wi-Fi, so sometimes that might be it as well.
Maybe. I'm a little bit delayed tonight.
We also had the NXT Anonymous segment in here that I didn't talk about because I was so not interested in this match that I almost forgot. Between Booker T and itty bitty, what was her name? I can't even remember her name right now. Roxanne Perez.
No!
Yeah, Roxanne Perez and Booker T. Yeah, I don't understand what Booker was trying to tell her. I think it was something about making sure that she fought her hardest and put an end to Blair Davenport. Because if she gives... I remember one point he says, if you give Blair an inch, she'll take a mile. And I'm like, well, yeah, she's a bad guy. Of course she's gonna. That's what every bad guy does. Chris Best. Booker looked gigantic standing next to Roxanne. That's not Astrid's opinion. Astrid thought that Roxanne looked pretty big standing next to Booker T. The little Roxy that could. I mean, this was better than the match that we got between Gigi Dolin and Kiana James. Not by much. True. We then get a backstage segment that apparently happened last week that I have no memory of. Do you have any memory of this thing happening last week?
No, I saw that too. It's like, were we supposed to know about this? Because I had no idea.
Like, I remember them saying that the match was signed, but I don't remember the promo segment that they had that signed the match. I'm like, I don't remember watching. Like, I know I don't take notes on every promo segment. Ashton often is like, hey, you forgot this 2-second promo segment. I'm like, I don't care. But I have a feeling one of us would have remembered seeing this.
I don't for sure.
So Axiom's mad at Lucien and Bronco because they interrupted their promo segment. And Reggie says, well, why don't we go ahead and have a tag match? I'm not calling him Scripts. I don't care. I'm not calling him Scripts.
I wouldn't either.
But Axiom's mad because he was losing his TV time to two bigger, better superstars. Because you know what? He's just a kid trying to find some TV time. We get Ivy Nile backstage pulling down the Diamond Mine banner, pretty much ending the Diamond Mine gym. And we get a Noam Dar Twitter update where Noam Dar has apparently canceled the Supernova sessions. And Eddie Thorpe gets interviewed backstage until Metaphor comes in and interrupts his thing. By the way, did anybody else think that Noam Dar was a rubber dummy in this segment and in the match? Because I really did. I'm still not convinced that what they threw in the ring wasn't a rubber dummy. I'm still not convinced.
That looked terrible, yeah.
But no, they have a fight. They give him a signed Noam Dar picture that Eddie Thorpe just rips in half. I mean, Eddie, you could have kept it. I mean, you're working in NXT. You're not making that much money. You could have sold that for at least $20. You could at
Only
least
20?
It's Noam Dar. You really think it's worth much more? I mean, it's not Mandy Rose selling her in-ring championship gear that's going to sell for $30,000.
Yeah, not getting that much.
But no, and apparently we're going to get a match between Oro Mensah, main man Mensah, and Eddie Thorpe tonight, which of course made Mel very happy because that means we're going to get to see Eddie Thorpe in action. We then get a tag team match between Axiom and Reggie and Bronco Nima and Lucien Price. Oh, he made more than $20. It's $20.11 from. Now, do you mind if it's ripped in half? You're able to put that back together, right? Right, Dar Amazing? You can go ahead and put that back. Oh, I get it. Dar Amazing. You just want the Dar stuff. I get it. Astrid, talk to me about this tag team match and then debut of Lucien Prince and Bronco Nima.
Was it a match then? I don't know.
I mean, a bell rang to start it, a bell rang to end it. So,
it just makes me laugh because it goes back to the point of like the interview when Reggie suggests a match, and then he goes, "Yeah, a tag team match," and then Axiom goes, "We're not a tag team. Like, don't try to make this a thing because it's not a thing." Kind of line for him, and I like how. I don't have any much to say about the match. I thought it was just funny that in the middle of it, we get Reggie just, sitting by the post, enjoying the action as Axiom gets beat up, and Bronco and Lucien just get the win. Yeah, it was like, well, he said they won a tag team. Well, I guess he decided to not be a tag team during a tag team match. Great.
So, yeah. Barry has an opinion, and I have a slightly different one, so we're going to throw it up here. Price and the other one are fucking awful. Sorry to swear, but how else do you describe them? I'll be honest. I was actually kind of impressed with the two of them for the first time seeing them. I didn't hate the stuff they did in the ring. I thought they were pretty much all right. Are they top of the line? No. They're developmental talents. They're just recently signed within the past year. To the NIL program and such, to the PC, and bringing them in and teaching them how to wrestle. I felt they were at least better than Dana Brooke. They weren't super bad. We didn't see a ton from them, so it's hard to really give them a real grade on how well they did. But I wasn't hating anything that I saw on my television screen during this the match. Yeah. I liked seeing Reggie turn on Axiom. It made a bunch of sense because Axiom's been saying for weeks that he doesn't want to be in a tag team with Reggie, and Reggie's sick and tired of Axiom not wanting to be his friend, so he went and found two bigger, better friends. I don't hate it. It's something for him to do. And honestly, him as a mouthpiece is probably better than anything else he's going to do.
The scripts.
Yeah, I mean, his promos were bad, but they were bad because they were bad writing. But when he was on the main roster, it wasn't terrible. Like, his promo skills aren't awful. He can talk. And two big guys having a small, manager has never been a bad thing in WWE. I mean, hell, we had, before they were Indus-Sher that they are now, Indus-Sher had Malcolm Bivens. Before Sangha and Veer ruined all that, and Sangha went ahead and thought it was an okay idea to tweet out that Keith Lee was going to win both titles on a taped show before the show went live. Other than that stuff, It was great. We have Dara Amazing saying, I'm an Obafemi. I do too. I miss Obafemi. He was great. Chris Best saying, watching the NXT repeat. So now this review has turned into a watch along for me. Well, there you go, Chris. You can enjoy the watch along version of NXT and taking over. Like I said, there's not a lot to talk about here. It wasn't really a match, but it wasn't, like I said, I'll agree to disagree with Barry. I didn't think it was that awful. I've seen worse tag team action in NXT before. I've seen worse matches everywhere before. So, I mean, it's not Johnny Swinger. So, I mean, take it or leave it. I mean, and I like Johnny Swinger. I think Johnny Swinger is great, but I can't watch that man wrestle anymore. I just can't. As good as he really is, the character that they make him be and the matches they let him have, I just can't. Because he's so much more talented than they let him be. But again, this isn't an Impact show, so we should really stop talking about Impact. We have
Way more like you, but sure.
What's that?
More like you. I haven't talked about Impact much.
You talk about what's important, and some of these things aren't important. Tony D has a homecoming. I'm going to let you go ahead and pick this up and talk about Tony D's homecoming back in the ring.
I love how they show the family during this, and they like have names for everybody. It's like, yeah, the cousin this one and the other one, and I just love having Tony come out the way he did, and the family celebrating it. And then I love seeing the plan, because from our point of view, we didn't get to see the plan until after it happened. So to see the plan unfold, how they went from the planning stages to executing it, I think it was perfect seeing it in that video package, and just going from, just like, I'm going to play with Gallus and, kind of tell them this and tell them that I'm backstabbing you. He goes, ouch. And then he's like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then I like how Stacks just like lays everything down for Tony. It's like, yeah, and we're going to get you out of here. We're going to get a tag team match, that championship match. It's like, I love how they show that. I love being able to see how it went from, from their vision to what it actually was. And obviously that makes Gallus come out, and they have a back and forth in there until they kind of want to go against Tony and Stacks with that way. And I don't think they realize that they actually have a family behind them as backup. And that's when they backed up and left. But overall, I really enjoyed the segment, though.
And I love seeing Gallus get beat up a little bit. I mean, I know I teased Mark that it was poor Gallus getting beat up. As we all know, Mark is unfortunately a bad Brit and doesn't enjoy the Scottish boys of Gallus as much as he should. I don't know why. They like a lot of the same things: beer, soccer. They like a lot of that. I mean, hell, he was one of the guys was in a rugby shirt with the vertical stripes. I mean, Mark should really like them. They like soccer a whole lot more than most of us, so they should really enjoy them. But unfortunately, he loves it when Gallus gets beat up. So, yeah, can't win everything. This was fun. I enjoyed this. Like Astrid said, the best thing about this whole thing was seeing the vignette where they go back and rehash the whole plan. Having that segment now feels so great, because the story always felt a little odd and a little rushed, that he was turning on him, and it didn't make much sense. So to go back and redo and retell the story and show us the pieces we're missing is really fun. It's very Ocean's 11, where they tell you a story that you think you know, and then they fill in the gaps with pieces that you don't, to understand the story that you've been seeing that you didn't quite understand. And I do love it. This is how great when you talk about soccer in the UK is. They support the wrong team, so he hates the Scottish boys because they cheer for the wrong soccer team. Mark, for you, for tonight, Gallus boys on top. There you go, Mark. We have Joe Gacy in the Schism walking backstage. We have Trick Mello also walking backstage, and they get into a little verbal kerfuffle. And there's a little interesting line here, and I think Mark is really going to like this next line as we talk about this. He says, as soon as you lose that, he's going to turn on you.
Yes.
Why are we planting the seeds for a Trick Williams? I didn't like that. it felt wrong. But
That was
Joe,
interesting.
I was surprised. It just flat out
Yeah.
says it. This is the
Mm-hmm.
this is the first seeds we're seeing of a potential Trick Williams heel turn, though, right?
And you notice though he didn't even get to finish really the sentence because he points at him and he points at Trick and he goes, "This union will dissolve as soon as you." And then he keeps, the thought doesn't
Yeah,
really end because they get interrupted. But obviously, you get the idea of where he's coming from with this. I was like, "Ooh,
yeah.
yep."
I was not expecting that. Ilya Dragunov
Mhm.
comes up and Mello gets in Ilya's face talking about why are you stalking me? Why are you going ahead and getting involved in my business? And Joe Gacy goes ahead and gets into it with Ilya as well. And then all of a sudden Gacy just seems like he falls forward into Carmelo Hayes, which starts a brawl between all six of them. And Ava's just sort of standing there on the outside. Now, I'm a little disappointed because Joe Gacy teased something big tonight with, taking steps and Schism becoming closer, and then this was the only thing we saw of them. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping for something more. Um,
Yeah, that's true.
Mark saying, "Told you all what'll happen when Carmelo goes up. Trick will turn on him before." I agree. When Carmelo goes up, if Trick Williams is staying in NXT, he will absolutely turn on him. I have no doubt in
Mhm.
that. I just think it's a little early to start sending out warning signs of a heel turn because I don't think you bring up Melo until after Mania. To be perfectly honest with you,
Yeah.
unless he's losing the NXT Championship and they're bringing him up before after SummerSlam. Again, I don't understand why you just had a draft. I don't
Mhm.
think you need to start bringing up NXT talent other than Braun Breaker, who God needs to leave NXT because not because I don't want to see him anymore, but because he needs something to do, and there's nothing left
Yeah,
for him to do in
it
NXT.
does. Hmm.
He can't challenge for the
I
North
agree.
American Championship, and he needs to do something. Your thoughts on Schism, on Trick Mello, on the 6-man tag that we're getting next week? All of this.
Yeah, I just thinking back of that line. I love, like I said, I love that he couldn't really finish it because he got interrupted by Dragunov there. But automatically, just like as I messaged you, and you said the same thing as we were, thinking about it. I kept thinking, 6-man tag next week is happening, isn't it? Good to know. But yeah, I just thought it something else would happen tonight with the Schism to kind of keep going with that storyline. I didn't think this was going to be the only part we were going to see them tonight. That something bigger would happen. That's the only thing aside from that. But overall, I enjoy the second. Like you said, I kept thinking the time is like it does feel early to be planting those seeds there for Trick to turn on Carmelo. But I thought it was interesting that that's the first time we ever hear it on NXT TV.
And Astrid, while you're going ahead and talking about wonderful things, go ahead and talk about, well, something that you and some of the chat are going to find extremely exciting. I think she needs to be put in prison after the assault that she did. Talk about Tia Hale versus Elektra Lopez.
um, Again, just like the other one, I know that why this happened and why it was the way it was done. But again, it would have been another one that I would have done without tonight again as well. But there's not much to the match in itself. It just when you think something's gonna happen, here comes Thea with her devastated Kimura lock out of nowhere, and she makes Electra zip out. But I love more than anything the promo after the match. Her winning the after winning the match, we have her and Duke come here. I was like, yeah, I think after doing that to Electra, I think I deserve a rematch. And I love how Duke is the one going rematch, rematch, and
No
starting
rematch.
the chant going. And I love how we get that Chase U section being how big it is now. They all help with it. And then she's like, "Hey, Blondie, come out here because I want to kick your ass." And then I love how it like not even 2 seconds later, Tiffany does come out. I was like, I would have waited a little bit longer for her to come out because it just feels like she's following what Thea's saying. And even she points it out. She's like, yeah, you don't call out the champ. And I was like, then why'd you come out? I would have just come out from the Tron maybe or waited a little bit longer than what happened there. But the back and forth between these two, it was just so funny. People chanting like she tapped out, and you can hear how loud it is compared to Tiffany. I feel like at some point you can barely hear Tiffany talking. um yeah, they have a good, let's have a rematch. And she's like, why would I want to do that? I already beat you. It's like, yeah, let's do it, a submission match. She's like, no, I'm not agreeing to that. Like, I'm the one that agrees to the match. I'm the one that makes the match happen. I don't want to have it. And I love how she just makes her tap out with a Kimura lock, and she ends up accepting the submission match. I wouldn't have done that, but okay.
Assault. It wasn't putting her in it was assault. She assaulted. Well, Ed doesn't care about Tia Hale. Other people do, unfortunately. Tia's really gotten this crowd on her side, the Chase Shoe section mostly, but and again, I know the Chase Shoe section is paid at wrestlers who are there doing their thing, but the crowd was in it. No, bad mark. All right, this is strike number 2. One more strike, and I'm gonna tell you to leave. No, I'm just kidding. Tia is not the GOAT. Tia is an uncrowned champion, which means all she is a loser who lost the match 1, 2, 3, as Tiffany Stratton told her tonight in that promo segment. They're not going to do this, right? Like, they're not going to put the title on Tia Hale. This is all going to lead to Tia Hale just losing a submission match at Great American Bash, right?
Not only that, but I just feel like, from like the fan standpoint, what would you put Tiffany as a new champion in this kind of situation, I guess, if you want to call it? Because I from that point of view, she doesn't have a submission. She has to, I guess, quote unquote, get one to go against Thea. But it's like, you already have the background to the story, the layout to it is just that she tapped out already. It's like, I wouldn't have put her in this situation as the first feud, after winning the championship, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems unusual to put Tiffany in this spot. It seems unusual, but you know what? Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't have a submission when he wrestled his submission match against Bret Hart, and that turned out to be one of the greatest moments in wrestling history. This will not be one of the greatest moments in wrestling history, but hopefully they at least get it right and make sure that Tia loses the submission match. Because I think what Tia needs right now is sympathy. They have people on her side. It's not the same. Yeah, he had the $1 million dream, but he wasn't using it anymore at this point. Because remember, we're already into the Stone Cold Steve Austin era where he's no longer using the $1 million dream by the time he wrestles Bret Hart. We're out of the ringmaster in that limbo land where he was Steve Austin in between. Being the ringmaster and being Stone Cold. But yeah, I mean, I guess he did have the $1 million dream. Tiffany is such a good heel. She's great. She's money on the microphone. Her matches continue to deliver now. She wasn't always the greatest professional wrestler, but she's gotten better over the past year plus. She is putting on really good matches. They have her in there with people like Tia Hale doing a good job. So I'm cautiously optimistically excited about this match, as long as they don't do anything insane and put the women's championship on Tia Hale.
I mean, tonight happened, so anything can happen at this point.
Don't remind me. Also, what the hell was Elektra's new entrance? Is there any? So it's like an elevator going up, and like the doors open, and it's like.
Did you just notice that?
Yeah, has she been doing that for a while?
Yes, and she's by herself.
Oh, it tells you how much I've been paying attention to Elektra Lopez.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they're building to send Tia to the main roster to be someone worse than Liv Morgan.
Excuse me, Liv is not bad.
No, Liv is doing all right. I don't know. I don't know what you do with Liv. I don't know what you do with Tia. Yeah, she's had that for like months. I'll be honest.
Amazing.
This is the first I ever saw of it. I even messaged Ash. I'm like,
I thought there was something different to it.
Yeah, no, I had never seen it before. I'm like, what the hell is this elevator bullshit? I don't like it.
Yeah, it goes to the timing of the song. So when it goes ding, that's when the elevator doors open. She comes out.
Yeah, nope, never. I've not seen that once. Tells you how much I pay attention to her entrance. All right. So now we get to the segment that I've been waiting for a while now. Dominic Mysterio was prepping for his match with Mommy, and Tony D'Angelo and family walk by. And the only thing we get is Tony D'Angelo saying, Benny the Bumper from the yard says hello. And Dom says, ah, Benny, yeah. And then Tony says, good luck on your match tonight, and walks away. And I'm like, oh, there could have been so much more here. Like, if, like, your show ended at 10 o'clock. You didn't use your overrun. So you had time. This could have been a nice long segment where you have the two of them talk a bit about how prison changes them and how it's been so good for Dominic to go to prison and come out. Anything else other than just a quick segment where apparently they were in the same prison because they both know the same guy. Either that or Benny the Bumper got out of prison after Dom went and went into a different prison where Tony was afterwards. Either way, it was a bit of letdown. I thought you could have done a lot more here.
Yeah, it was a good start, but it just needed a little bit more than that. Because I'm like, I like that as a good foundation, but I wanted more.
The funny thing was, it felt like the most important part of this was supposed to be what came next. To which, again, I went and said, when did this happen? Rhea says she was talking about how great Lyra is and how tough Lyra is to everybody last week. And then she let what happened with JC Jane happen to her. And she goes, is that what you're about? And Lyra says, next time JC Jane is going to get what's coming to her, and I'm going to prove you right. And she walks away, and Rhea's talking to her. I'm like, when the fuck was Rhea talking about how great Lyra was last week? Again, is this another segment I missed entirely? Because we didn't talk about it last week.
I don't think it was last week. I think the week before that. It's just that week that JC's staring at the TV. Oh, no, she's backstage with the girl. She's like, oh, I don't understand why Lyra is talking trash to me and treating me this way. And then next time I see her, and then she keeps talking, and Lyra comes in from behind her to attack her. And then just as JC's recovering, the feet come up, and from the feet you get it's Rhea. And she just says, like, oh, be careful because Lyra's a badass. And I don't know what JC says about it. She just walks away. And that's just it. But the part that makes me laugh about this,
missed that part. We talked about that segment because I know the segment you're talking about. I have no memory of Mommy being part of that segment. None.
What?
None.
Oh my
God. I love Mommy. I think Mommy's great. I adore everything Mommy does, but I have zero.
The part that makes me laugh about this, though, with the timing, is that, for example, I know the venue's not big. I know that because I've been there. But it's just funny to me. But she's like looking at this, and she's like, I said you're a badass. And if I said Lyra's right beside her, I was like, how does she know? What the timing? How are they there together at the same time when she's talking about her? How? And it just felt so random because we know Dom is right beside Rhea, and Rhea's like looking at Lyra, talking to her this way. And then all of a sudden, she's like, yeah, I'll prove it to you next time I face JC. And she just leaves, and then Dom says something else as if he wasn't even there a few seconds ago as they're talking. It's like, it just felt like out of character for like the mommy character to be talking to Lyra this way. And then she goes back to being mommy, which is with Dom again. I was like, what the heck just happened? It just felt like the timing was weird there for me.
Sorry, jumping in saying they're making stuff up knowing most of the viewers are watching for the first time to see Dominic. I mean, I'm not going to necessarily say they're making stuff up, but it's unusual for NXT to not just tell us if something's a digital exclusive. Like, this is like that segment with Axiom and Reggie and Lucien.
That one I didn't see.
I've never seen that segment in my life. And NXT is really good about this is a digital exclusive that you saw on Twitter. And, you know, like, it's fine. Like, Astrid says that there was a mommy segment 2 weeks ago on when she was there by herself. So that makes sense. I can, in my head, vision that. I don't remember it happening. But then again, I probably blacked it out because it was a Lyra Valkyria versus and JC Jane segment. So Lord knows I wasn't paying that close attention. As Dara Amazing says, maybe Rhea's scouting for future members of Judgment Day. Maybe. It's always possible. It's nice to see some of these main roster stars giving the route. So even if Rhea's not going to wrestle, she's at least trying to give some credibility to Lyra Valkyria. Lord knows Lyra Valkyria's wrestling talent isn't going to do it. We get a Gable Steveson promo that nobody cares about, where he talks about, is he going to join WWE? Is he going to join the NCAA? Or is he going to do the Olympics? And I'm like, I don't give a shit. But we'll find out next week. Yay.
I hope it doesn't take too long for him to get to his point, though. Please.
I'm sure it will. We then have the match between Ora Mensa and Eddie Thorpe. All right, Barry, you have a great night. Thank you for joining us. We know it's very late for you, so go ahead and have a great night, and we will see you soon for the next show. Well, Barry's, we'll do it a little bit later on. We'll promote stuff a little bit later on. Ora Mensa versus Eddie Thorpe. Mel, if you're still here, this is your segment right here. This is your Eddie Thorpe alert. What did you think? Eddie Thorpe versus Ora Mensa.
This is another one that I feel like there's not much to it. The only thing that we get is that Jakar is like distracting the referee, and the Lash is over here bringing, I want to say a body or a corpse, I don't know what it was, in the ring, and then they're trying to get the referee distracted. And then Dijak comes in, attacks Eddie. Eddie Betty makes it to the 10 count, and then just having Ora win the match. It's like I knew with the amount of people at ringside versus Eddie at this point, we knew something was going to happen. I didn't think that was going to be that thing that was going to happen. It just felt so weird having like the body, the way she rolled it over, and the referee trying to grab it and trying to slide it out, and he can barely do it. And he's like trying to like push it out, like we need to do this on time. It made me laugh though.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fine match. It wasn't great. It wasn't awful. Eddie Thorpe's doing good in the ring, but again, I don't know much about him. They still haven't given me a reason to care other than he's a half-decent wrestler who's pretty tough. He's going to have a great match with Dijak. I assume. So we're assuming that's going to be the main event of the next show, or that big match that they're going to be promoting for the show after the Great American Bash. That'll be that big match that we're going to promote, which will be probably Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
We then get a promo segment with Dana Brooke and Kalani something or other. I can't be asked. That's sure. Sounds about right. I don't know. I can't be asked to remember her name. I really can't. Because she says, we're going to go do something that only the two of us can do. Like gymnastics is special and only the two of them have ever done it. Do you not know that your NXT Women's Champion is a former member of the United States not the Olympic, the U.S. national team? There's a difference between the Olympic team and the national team. She's former part of the U.S. national team. So it's like, it's not only you guys that can do this. And honestly, the stuff you were doing wasn't even that good. Like, I've watched high school gymnastic meets that are better than this. Like, come on, girls. As Parrish says, Dana Brooke, hey, look, ratings for other shows. We find out that Cora Jade is watching backstage. We find out we're getting Dana versus Cora 2.
Sometime soon?
Yeah, next week.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting it next week in a specialty match that we'll talk about in just a minute. We then get Blair Davenport and Roxanne Perez in an interview backstage. And as much as I wanted to like this, and again, I really wanted to like this, my notes are nothing much was said other than a whole bunch of words promoting the match that they're going to have at the Great American Bash. Do you have any more notes other than they said words?
I can't believe you didn't. I feel like I liked it better because I feel for Roxanne. I feel like the delivery was better than what I thought it was going to be. I like how she brought it back to that moment from losing the NXT Women's Championship, and she said it. I lost it. There was been a rage building inside of me, and Blair has added more to that. And she's going to show a side of her that the WWE Universe hasn't really seen before. And I'm like, good, because we've seen a little bit of it, and I want to see more from that. And then the part that just made me laugh is just Blair giving her, it's like, oh, this division's for, it's for women, and you have big dreams for such a little body. And she's like, I know you don't believe what you're saying, but neither do you. And it's like, and I could tell you the way you think about it because you experienced the rage that I given you with the match they had recently. And I like how she just goes like, the location of the venue isn't that close from your home. After you're done with the match and you lose, you can just drive back home. Don't go back to Orlando. Don't return to Orlando. Um, and just we get Roxanne taking off her microphone, and she's like, "Oh, did I hurt your feelings?" And I was waiting, just waiting to time it because all of a sudden Blair's on screen for that moment. It's just a little bit too long, and I thought Roxanne was gonna show up from the other side. I was disappointed when she didn't. That was the only thing.
Like, it was fine, but like it didn't feel like there was anything remotely important. Like, it was just a bunch of stuff promoting the match, but not much substance to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is supposed to be a blood feud that I don't feel like is all that bloody and violent and intense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't get that anger and urgency that Roxanne Perez needs to be giving to make this match as important as it needs to be. And maybe she doesn't have it in her, but it, like, we remember we talked about how that look that she had that week where she came off and the camera was focused on her and she had that anger and that crazed look in her eye. We haven't seen that since. And it's missing, and it really needs to be there because like, we needed that tonight so that we could use that to go ahead and give some credence to the words that were coming out of her mouth. Dar Amazing brings up he says it's a weird question, but it's a good question.
I was gonna say it's not a weird one.
What is on the card for Great American Bash? So, on the card for Great American Bash currently, we have Blair Davenport versus Roxanne Perez in a singles match. We have Tiffany Stratton versus Tia Hale in a submission match for the NXT Women's Championship. For the NXT Men's Tag Team Championships, we have Gallus of Mark Coffey and Wolfgang taking on the D'Angelo family of Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. We have the North American Championship match, which is now currently Dominic Mysterio versus Mustafa Ali, most likely going to be a triple threat match. And we have our main event of Carmelo Hayes with Trick Williams versus Ilya Dragunov. That is currently the 6-match card. You have to think Wes Lee is added, perhaps. I don't think we're getting Tyler Bate based on the story that we're telling, but I do think we're getting the triple threat with Wes Lee in there. I think Wes Lee is going to be like, I want my champion. I think next week he's going to be like, Dominic, I want my championship rematch now. And I'm just like, haha, fuck you, no, I'm not wrestling. And that's when they go, well, you're wrestling at the Great American Bash against Wes Lee, against Mustafa Ali, because that match was already signed. And now we're adding Wes Lee to that match as well. I don't think they're going to defend the Heritage Cup. I think I think the card we have is the card we're going to get. I don't think anything else gets added. I think we might change the North American title match, but I don't think there's going to be another match added.
No, probably not.
If we get a pre-show match, it's most likely going to be the tag match again, which is Andre and Duke versus Drew
Dempsey
and
Gulak.
Dempsey and Gulak. I think I agree. This might be where Bate turns. I think Bate might cost Wes Lee the match here. I thought he was going to cost Wes Lee the match anyways, so I'm not super unimposed to that still being the case. But I think Wes Lee's about to get his championship back, and all of a sudden Tyler Bate screws him, and Mustafa Ali takes advantage and goes ahead and gets the championship. I think Wes Lee comes out of that match. Not Wes Lee. I think Mustafa Ali comes out of that match as the new North American champion. But again, I would have said that going into the match when it was Wes Lee versus Mustafa Ali. So I don't think it changes too much by having it on there. We also get to go what happens next week, which is we're getting Dana Brooke versus Cora Jade in a kendo stick match, where the first person who takes the kendo stick off the pole gets to use the kendo stick without any repercussions.
Didn't we have Bailey and Alexa do that, and it just wasn't great?
Yeah, that was the match that ruined Bailey's career for about 3.5 years before she turned heel.
No.
Mark, you're drunk. You're just drunk. Dom Dom is not holding that for 1,000+ days. What if Wes Lee is added but gets hurt? Bates takes his place. This is to develop a feud between the two. because Bate injured Lee in the first. Maybe I could. Like I said, I'm not saying Bate can't get involved in this match. I just think that the story's convoluted enough that I think the triple threat is the easiest way to go. You are very, very tired. It is very late for you. We appreciate you staying up. We're pretty much done here. We have just talking about what happens next week, and then we're going to go ahead and do some promotion stuff. He's not wrong. For Astrid's sake, we do. We also have Ilya Dragunov and Trick Mello taking on the Schism next week in a 6-man tag. And we have Gable's decision. Ooh, it's going to be big. I really don't care what he chooses. I really hope he chooses anything other than WWE, to be perfectly honest with you. I hope he chooses anything other than NXT.
I know, with the hype behind the video package, probably NXT.
You never know. So, before we go ahead and talk about all the wonderful things that me and Astrid have coming up very soon, we're going to go ahead and show you the weekly calendar of all the things that Ol'Ed has going on. Those are all the wonderful things that you can find here at Ol'Ed. I do want to make one announcement that we will be talking about the future of Marvel, the near future of Marvel Talk. Tomorrow we will have an update on the future of Marvel Talk going forward as we have the SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild of America strike going on. There will be changes to Marvel Talk. We will talk more about that tomorrow night on Marvel Talk as we talk all things Marvel's Secret Invasion. But Ashton and I did a fun thing last week, and we're going to do another fun thing next week. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the fun thing we already did that's already out. He's in the chat here earlier today. Hopefully he's still here. Joshua Joseph has his own podcast called A Moment with Joshua Joseph. He's had all kinds of fantastic people on, including our old friend Pluggo, including Chris Parrish, including Bobby Munson. So go ahead and check out me and Astrid's interview that dropped today that we recorded over the weekend by going ahead and scanning this QR code that will bring you right to the interview. So you can go right in there and listen to it. It's about an hour. It's an audio-only interview. It is fantastic. Josh is a wonderful, wonderful person. And it was really cool to do an interview because we haven't done that. He's also interviewed Buff Bagwell. Yes, this is true. He interviewed Buff the Stuff. Also, going ahead and talking about things that are coming up next weekend. Next Sunday, Astrid and I are doing a live episode of Astrid Asks. But guess what? Astrid isn't the one asking the questions this time. This time it's Ask Astrid, as I, Ol'Ed, will be going ahead and asking all the questions on her 2-year anniversary in the streaming world. Miss Astrid will be going ahead and being interviewed by yours truly here. Astrid is very excited and not worried in the slightest about any of the wonderful questions I might have.
I was going to say, I only know like maybe some of the community questions. So other than that, I don't know what he's asking. I have no idea whatsoever.
We're going to play a game.
Right.
We're going to see if she gets to keep her Taylor Swift card.
Probably not.
We're going to see if she can continue being a Swiftie. Astrid, what are the other wonderful things that you have coming up this week?
Astrid doesn't have a lot going on. Yay! No, I'm kidding. You can find me mostly on my Twitter, Astrid Pizarro, Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro as well. My Instagram and Threads, Astrid Pizarro 20. But like Ed said, so it will be a little bit after busting out on Sunday. You get Astrid Asks live. I've only done one live episode before, so that'll be super interesting as well. But yeah, other than that, you can find me hopefully. Mel and I get to redo our episode of Ladies Fashion Showcase. We had technical difficulties, so we were not able to do it on Friday. And then on Sunday, you get my NXT review on Women's Wrestling Talk. And that's about it for me right now.
For me, you can go ahead and find me on Twitter at edfries12584, the dumpster fire that is Twitter. You don't find me on Threads. I don't need no new threads. I got cool clothes as it is. I don't need no blue skies. I like my gray, rainy skies that I've been having the past week and a half. I don't need no blue sky. You can find me on Twitch at edfries2002, where I have all my gaming content. I haven't had a lot of gaming content lately. I haven't really felt in the mood. I will hopefully be picking that back up this week. This Friday, I will be going ahead and streaming some more gaming. We'll be doing some my GM. We'll be doing a little bit of my GM mode, a little bit of my faction mode, a little bit of everything when it comes to WWE 2K23 this week. Maybe a little bit of Marvel Snap too. Who knows? We'll see what the people want to watch as we go. But again, I do want to go ahead and tell you that you can go ahead and talk to find that tweet from Astrid that talks about the community questions and go ahead and send them in. I've got a bunch of questions that I want to ask her. I think it's going to be a fun time. But it's always nice to see what the people want to know and find out what the people want to know. We have Parrish coming in saying, have you already forgotten her birthday? And is this your way to remember? No, I haven't forgotten her birthday. This isn't my way of remembering. This is a lovely anniversary of me and her being a tag team for 2 years. We were partnered together. I was on her first show. I've been on almost every show that she's done talking about NXT since then, with the exception of probably about, 15?
I've seen.
I missed a few shows in the NXT era. I missed a few shows during the Taking Over era before I took over, and I missed a few shows during Taking Over. Wrestle Draft will be coming back. Wrestle Draft will be coming back. Probably sometime in a couple weeks, right after Marvel Secret Invasion is over. We'll be back to our Wednesday night slot. We might be doing something before that. Parrish and I will let you know if we are. We'll be starting season 2, where Parrish is in the lead after winning the season, because Triple H gave him all kinds of good stuff at the end of last season to get him back in there. It's not a large random number. It's a nice even number. And it's odd, but it's a round number.
I was going to say, it's not even. Well, what I do have, though, hopefully, I know this month for sure, but I'll be releasing a video to like show off a little bit of the stuff that I've done in the last year, because I've done one beforehand. Yeah, to celebrate my 2 years in wrestling media. Woo!
Yeah, Parrish, I did see that. We're not going to talk about that because I don't think he needs a place on NXT, and there's no reason to bring that man up. But yeah, that did happen. But we are going to go ahead and raid a good friend of ours. Let's see who we can raid. Why don't we raid? Is Mike the Ref still alive? You know what? No, let's go ahead and raid Heel Kevin if he's still alive. He is not still alive. No, Heel Kevin is not still alive. Is Mike the Ref still alive? Mike the Ref is still alive playing some MLB 23. So we are going to go ahead and raid our good friend Mike the Ref. So all of you watching on the Our Local Establishment Twitch page, we'll be going ahead to Mike the Ref in just a few moments. But for me, Ol'Ed, for Astrid Pizarro, have a great time, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye. Button.